Welcome back to another academic year. We're going to go ahead and get started. We are so excited to be back with you to support the class of 2024 through the Alabama Goes to College campaign. We can't believe it's already the 2023-24 school year. If you haven't previously spoken verbally or electronically, I am Yoruba Butler, and I serve as the Strategy Director for Postsecondary Access at Alabama Possible, and I will be leading today's professional development webinar. In this kickoff webinar, we're going to be giving a high-level overview of Alabama Goes to College campaign and all the ways it can support your students as they pursue post-secondary pathways. We'd also like to recognize and thank our sponsors for supporting this work and making this webinar possible. Without their support, Alabama Possible would not be able to provide the assistance that we do without a participation fee. The Alabama Goes to College campaign works closely with several partners to implement the initiatives that we're going to discuss today. Thank you to our great partners, Alabama Commission on Higher Education, also known as AIC, Alabama Community College System, Alabama Department of Education, and Get Educated, the Common Black college application that helps promote applying and enrolling at 65 historically Black colleges and universities. A few housekeeping notes. Before we get started, please keep your microphones on mute at all times to avoid any feedback during the presentation. This webinar will be recorded and posted to YouTube/Alabama Possible should you have or should you want to revisit any of this content. You can submit questions through the webinar using the chat feature. We will collect those questions and answer them towards the end of the presentation. And lastly, we have polls throughout the webinar, which are designed to get your real-time feedback. We would love it if everyone would participate in those polls. But this part is especially important if you are a high school educator. You will need to participate in all the poll questions to receive your professional development credit. It is imperative that you stay through the end of the webinar because there will be poll questions at the very end as well. The questions are super quick and won't take up much of your time. We hope this lessens the burden of having to complete a separate survey form after the webinar. As for our social media, a few things before we dive into the content. Please share your commitment to building a college-going culture on social media at AL Goes to College. And please use the following hashtags so that we all can see and learn from each other's work. If you tag us in your post, you will be entered into a raffle to win a gift card that you can use for college-going activities. Our first raffle is for the hashtag #WhyApplyDay, which we'll talk more about in a bit. So we're going to do two polls, and our first poll question is, what is your role? And upon its completion, May, you can feel free to share the results with us.
All right, about 85% of people have answered, and 50% are counselors, 40% are career coaches, and about 2% community-based organizers, with around 9% others. So thank you so much for joining us today, and we're excited to work with you in each of these capacities.
Thank you, May. Our second poll question is, what topic are you most interested in?
All right, so it is pretty even with the FAFSA and scholarships, actually. So we have the FAFSA being the topic that folks are most interested in, and then scholarships coming in a close second, with career pathways and college applications both around 12%. So thank you so much. We'll definitely take this into consideration as we craft our webinar series for the rest of the year.
Wonderful. Thank you, May. Also, if you've logged in a little bit late, we want to make sure you're able to register your school for the Alabama Goes to College campaign. High schools can sign up at alabamapossible.org/register 2023-24. We'll drop this link in the chat right now. On the registration form, all schools are listed alphabetically. So there is a way for you to check if your school is already registered or not. We only need one submission per school. All right, let's move forward. Let's look at our learning objectives for today's training. By the end of this webinar, we're hoping to deepen your familiarity with the Alabama Goes to College campaign and its components, give a brief description of the Educator's Tool Guide or Toolkit, and identify one new strategy and asset you will use to increase awareness for your college and career initiatives and to promote post-secondary pathways to your students. Now, there are three main components of the Alabama Goes to College campaign. First, we have Cash for College. The Cash for College's goal is for every graduating senior to complete the FAFSA before graduating from high school so that they can access federal, state, and institutional aid to pay for their education after high school. Though we will not be speaking about the FAFSA in depth today, we did want to inform you that we still have not been informed as to when it will launch. We know, like many of you, that it will be in December, but on what day, none of us know at this time. As we receive any information, we will share it with you as soon as possible. So please remain proactive in reviewing any emailed correspondence that you receive from us. Second is Alabama College Application Week. The Alabama College Application Campaign is part of a national effort to increase the number of first-generation college students and students from low-income families pursuing a college degree or other higher education credential. The primary purpose of this effort is to help high school seniors navigate the complex college application and admissions process to ensure they apply to at least one post-secondary institution. Third is College and Career Decision Day. College and Career Decision Day celebrates students' committing to pursuing their education past high school, whether to obtain a 2-year degree, a 4-year degree, a certificate, or industry-recognized credential, entering the military, or pursuing a skilled trade. Now let's explore a little bit more about the Cash for College. Cash for College builds awareness around financial aid for post-secondary education. The goal of Cash for College for every graduating senior is to complete their FAFSA before they graduate from high school so they can access, as we mentioned, federal, state, and institutional aid to pay for college. We prioritize completing the FAFSA because it strongly correlates with positive post-secondary outcomes, including increases in college enrollment, persistence, and attainment. Research shows that 92% of students who complete the FAFSA enroll in college the following year, compared to just 51% of FAFSA non-completers. Many of you know every senior in Alabama should either be completing the FAFSA or an opt-out waiver as part of their graduation checklist. We highly encourage every senior who is eligible to complete the application to do so, whether or not they think their income is too high. There are several reasons for this. The FAFSA is not just used to determine need-based federal aid. Most institutions or private scholarship organizations require FAFSA information to determine scholarship awards too. So regardless of the student's family income, they should be completing the FAFSA. Now, as stated before, as soon as we know the launch date for the FAFSA, we will be certain to inform you. One good thing is, even though the FAFSA does not open until December, you are still able to assist your students in creating their FAFSA ID. There are some students who are not eligible to complete an application. This mostly applies to undocumented students who have no protected status. Again, as information is made available to us pertaining to undocumented students, we will share it with you. This includes the option of the student completing an opt-out waiver. We know you all did an exceptional job promoting the FAFSA last academic year. Alabama is ranked 11th in the nation for overall FAFSA completion. So let's talk about some of the key resources for this component. The AIC FAFSA Completion Portal is a platform hosted by the Alabama Commission on Higher Education. If you are a high school educator, this platform is going to be your best friend when the FAFSA cycle begins. Once you have login credentials to the platform, you can track student level FAFSA completion progress. This is updated daily, so it's a great way to monitor who needs to do what as it relates to the FAFSA. We've linked the portal here, as well as a guide created to help you navigate the portal. Next, we have the Cash for College Data Dashboard. This is a platform for you to check school-wide FAFSA completion progress. This is updated weekly and is especially useful for schools that do not have access to AIC's platform. It also gives you an easy way to compare schools or districts. We have also included FAFSA.gov and the FSA Toolkit. These web pages provide information along with great flyers and one-pagers outlining the process and steps. Remember, everything pertaining to the FAFSA is continually being updated. As resources are released, we will make certain to upload them to our shareable drive. Lastly, we have linked an article from the National College Attainment Network website, also known as NCAN, that gives 10 things we should know about the new FAFSA. One thing to keep in mind is the word new can be an internal terminology. The students won't know any other version of the FAFSA than the one that they're filling out. Now let's look at Cash for College. Let's talk about some key dates for this component. The FAFSA opens December 2023. It is our understanding that the launch date for the FAFSA will return to October 1st in 2024. Please remind your students that their FAFSA must be completed every year that they are enrolled in college. This year, March 1st will be our deadline for Alabama schools to compete for the Best Hustle Award for improving early FAFSA completion. This is awarded to schools who have at least a 10% improvement in FAFSA completion when comparing the first 2 months of this FAFSA cycle to the first 2 months of last year's FAFSA cycle. Next year, we anticipate being able to move it back to its original December 1st deadline. May 1st is our deadline for Alabama schools to compete for the most improved and most valuable awards, which come with a grant prize. The most improved award is given to schools with the highest year-to-year improvement rate for FAFSA completion. Our MVP award is given to schools with the highest overall FAFSA completion percentages. To be eligible for these awards, you must be registered for the Alabama Goes to College campaign by the October 1st deadline. This year, Hewitt-Trussville High School, the 2022-23 MVP for large high schools, has shared with us that the high school has earmarked their prize for a counselor scholarship, which will be awarded to a student who has a financial need. The second component is the Alabama College Application Week. The Alabama Application Campaign's goal is to ensure high school seniors apply to at least one post-secondary institution by assisting and encouraging them as they navigate the complex college application and admissions process. The Alabama College Application Campaign encourages all high school students to apply to college early in their senior year. The initiative includes a full week of application fee waivers at many colleges in the state and nearby bordering states. This year, the dates are October 16th through the 20th of 2023. This effort is part of a national campaign, and the Alabama State Department of Education leads this work in the state of Alabama. In terms of resources, we have a site coordinator manual, which is currently being revised and will be available very soon, which will also be included on our shared drive. It will be your main guide for everything related to this component. The National Campaign's website also has a lot of great ideas and resources. Some key dates for Alabama College Application Week are fast approaching. Friday is hashtag Why Apply Day. This is a day where you as educators can wear your college gear and share why you believe students should apply to college. There are a lot of creative activities that you can implement at school on this day. We'll be talking more about this and sending correspondence in the upcoming weeks. As stated earlier, October 16th through the 20th is Alabama College Application Week. Again, this is a full week where colleges in and around Alabama waive their application fees for Alabama seniors. We are excited to announce we already have 47 colleges and universities committed to participate thus far. Be on the lookout for more information in the Alabama Goes to College newsletter. All right, let's look at the goals of the College and Career Decision Day. It is to celebrate students committing to pursuing education and training after high school. Lots of resources come from Reach Higher and Better Make Room. Reach Higher started as an initiative of Michelle Obama and focuses on counselors supporting students in their goals of completing education past high school. Reach Higher then launched by Better Make Room, which is a student-facing campaign that includes events like College Signing Day. College and Career Decision Day events take place on or around May 1st. We will spend some time talking about this component in the second half of the year. Now, as for the Educator's Toolkit, we will be hosting more detailed webinars prior to each of the big events related to our 3 campaign components. In these webinars, we will dig deep into the tools and resources that are available to you. You are, of course, more than welcome to start perusing the toolkit on your own now. Now, new versions of the Educator's Handbook and Student and Family Guides will be available very soon. Those will be in our General Asset folder, and we'll also make sure to send them in our newsletter. We understand that we have covered a lot of information. So I want to wrap up with a few tips to guide you for the next few months. We spend a lot of time addressing educators, but we also want to recognize the wonderful community partners we have on this Zoom. We know that a lot of community-based organizations and post-secondary institutions are key partners in this work. We encourage you all to connect with new counselors and career coaches in your service area. Those relationships are extremely important. We also encourage you to send us your upcoming events so that we can promote them on our social media and in our newsletters. You can send those to algoes2college@alabamapossible.org. For our post-secondary institutions, you all always do a wonderful job of providing your insight and expertise at admissions and financial aid workshops on high school campuses. For our community-based organizations, if you are supporting high school seniors, we encourage you to attend our upcoming FAFSA training, which is to be determined, with hopes that it will empower you with the tools to volunteer and support high school workshops. It's also a great way if you can offer community space as a site for college planning activities. Now, I'd like to turn it over to an educator to offer some of her ideas for the upcoming year. Erin Jane is a counselor at Central High School in Phoenix City. Last year, her school was the winner of both the MVP and Most Improved for the extra large high school. I saw that one of the attendees asked for tips for educators with large senior classes. And Erin serves quite a large senior class. So I'm very excited to hear what she has to say. Erin, I'll turn it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me today. My name is Erin Jane. I am the senior counselor at Central High School. As Ms. Butler mentioned, we do have a senior class this year of 450 students. We are going to be working again this year, sort of on the same timeline that we had last year. We look at it in 4 parts. We start with visits to our history classes where all of our seniors are assigned a history. We are going to be beginning this year, the week of December the 4th. I'm sorry, I know y'all hear my phone ringing in the background. A counselor's job is never done. We are going to start the first week of December going in and meeting with all of our students and working on the FAFSA IDs. And then coming back to the history classes once the form opens to then work with them on filling out their portion of the form. We are going to again host our FAFSA parent days and nights. When we did win the award last year and we had sort of the celebration and other schools got to talk about what they did, I really listened to a lot of what they said and learned from it. We're going to be reaching out to some of our partners in education, using some of our the money that we won for this award to both support parent nights where we are either getting out into the community and hosting those events in the community or having them at school and then offering pizza to the parents, just any way to kind of get people in to get them, you know, doing their part. And then also using some of that money to use incentives. We did Kona Ice as an incentive last year that the students really seemed to enjoy. If they had completed it by a certain date, they got the ticket, they got to get out of class for a little bit and have Kona Ice. And then also our last part that we do is, you know, towards the end of the year, April, March, April, we really start hitting that small group individual student contact. Last year, we had a school improvement coordinator who really took this on her shoulders. She did a lot of it, Dr. Sherry Ash. She's really probably the reason that we won this award. I want to give credit to her. This year, we do have 2 new career coaches that we've employed, and they're going to be coming alongside us to help fill that gap and searching out and looking for those students and trying to help them through the process. And so that's sort of our plan and our tips. Some other tips that I remember hearing is, just getting the information out early. We're going to begin announcing even at our school athletic events, even though it's not open yet, just getting parents prepared for it, knowing that they need to be ready, knowing that it's coming, and sort of just taking steps to get them prepared to know what they're going to be doing. But this has kind of been the plan that we've used the last 2 years, and specifically upped that small group individual student contact last year to kind of get us where we were this past year in terms of winning that MVP and that most improved award. I hope that these tips were helpful.
Thank you so much for sharing, Erin. I'd like to spend some time answering any questions that have come through the chat. May, on your end, do you have any questions at this time?
Yes, thanks, Yoruba. So we got a question in the chat. Do we think that pushing the FAFSA back 2 months will impact the awarding of any scholarships from universities? Meaning, will they award later to see if students qualify for federal aid first? So what we do know is that institutions will absolutely be altering their processes for awarding financial aid. It will be a necessity with the change in the timeline of the FAFSA. So I would definitely get in touch with your local institutions that are nearby your high school's campus and reach out to their financial aid offices asking what they know about changes to their financial aid awarding process, just so that you at least have an idea of what local institutions are doing. And hopefully more information will come from each institution. We do know that this change in the FAFSA process will hopefully only be for 1 year, meaning that it will open in December this year, but hopefully we'll get back to its October 1st opening date in subsequent years. So that is our hope, that it will be just this 1 year of a slight change, which will definitely require a lot of us to pivot in how we are reaching out to students and how institutions are doing their financial aid award process. But we will definitely keep you informed as we learn more. Definitely feel free to share with us what you learn. And if there's anything else you wanted to add to that, Yoruba, for that question, I'll leave some time.
Okay, thank you so much. What I do want to share, we have some save the dates, and one of the events specifically has to do with the FAFSA. So due to the FAFSA simplification, the National College Attainment Network will be hosting multiple free webinars from now through December. The next training, called You Aspire webinar series, Preparing for FAFSA Simplification, will be held on Wednesday, September 13th at 11 a.m. Now, when you go to their website, if you choose to attend any of these free webinars, make sure that you make note that most of their postings will read in Eastern Standard Time, because they're located in Washington, D.C. So not to miss any of this important information, make sure that you adjust it for Central Standard Time. Also, we want to make sure that we share the dates for the Behavior, Attendance, and Foundational Wellness Learning Summit. Those dates and locations will be September 19th, it'll be in Mobile. September 26th, it'll be in Huntsville, and September 27th, it will be in Birmingham. Our Alabama College Application Campaign webinar will be Wednesday, September 20th. The event is already on the Alabama Possible website under the Events tab, and we encourage you to register as soon as possible. Lastly, the Why Apply to College with the American College Application Campaign will be on September 22nd. Now we're going to ask a few poll questions that will give us feedback on today's presentation. We encourage everyone to participate, but high school educators especially need to participate to receive professional development credit Your answers to these questions will not be shared with anyone.
So please note that there are 3 questions that are a part of this first poll, so please answer all of them and then press submit. Thank you. As a quick note, which Yoruba also mentioned earlier on, with our educator toolkit, we will be continuously adding to that. There has, of course, been a delay because of the change to this year's FAFSA form, but as we learn information, especially from our national partners, we will be sharing that information in resources within our toolkit. So thank you so much for your patience.
All right, May, thank you. And thank you for your feedback. For our high school educators to claim their professional development credit, you must visit this link and enter in the following course number and section number. We will make sure to share this information again in the follow-up email. If you do not register via this website, you will not receive professional development credit. Lastly, we'd like to mention we have a help desk that educators, students, and families can call or text. You can reach us at 334-316-6155. Again, that number is 334-316-6155 on weekdays during business hours. Also,
Yoruba, I'm sorry to jump in real quick. We had one more poll question. So
okay.
the second question that also has 3 parts, and that is launched right now. Sorry about that.
No, thank you.
Once we give a moment for everyone to respond to this, we'll wrap up with a few more slides. We appreciate you joining us today. We're at about 60% of responses right now.
And while we wait for the last few responses, I wanted to make certain that everybody received the telephone number for our help desk. So as we mentioned, the help desk is for our educators, our students, and families. They can either call or text the number 334-316-6155. Again, during all weekdays during the business hours. And we ask that you feel free to send your students this way. You can share that number with them as well. Lastly, as always, we would love to stay connected. You can find us at alabamagoestocollege.org or email us at algoestocollege@alabamapossible.org. Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope you have a wonderful year, and we definitely want you to stay in touch. And lastly, May, before we depart, were there any other questions that posted in the chat that we could address?
Yes, so I'm going to give a little bit more time for that last poll because I think a couple people got cut off on the first poll. So if you made mention of that in the comments, we will definitely follow up with you to make sure that we can get your responses to the poll questions. So don't worry about that at all. We had one question about FSA IDs and whether students can get started on that already. They absolutely can get started on that. So feel free to fill your September, October, and November with FSA ID creation so that you're ready to jump into the FAFSA as soon as it opens in December. And then let me look, there's a few more questions. A couple people asked for the PD information, so I'm showing that again on our screen right now, but don't worry, we also include this in our follow-up email that goes out to all of our webinar registrants. So if you ever don't catch the PD information during our webinar, you'll be sure to have it when we send the follow-up email. We had another attendee ask about getting access to tracking their school's FAFSA completion. That will be through the AIC portal that Yoruba mentioned. If you don't currently have access, we'll absolutely get you connected to the AIC team. Make sure that you're able to get an account so that you can log in and see your individual student level FAFSA completion data. Again, like Yoruba mentioned, that's an absolutely critical resource, especially for this year when we're getting a little bit of a late start. So we will definitely make sure that you get access to that. And then we had one other question about whether this webinar will be able to be rewatched later. All of our webinars are recorded and then posted to our YouTube channel. That's at youtube.com/Alabama Possible. And we make sure to include that link in our follow-up email. So be on the lookout for that again. I believe that is all of the questions, so I'll turn it over to you.
All right. Thank you so much, May. As we mentioned, you all, thank you so much for participating. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to us directly. We are more than happy to assist you all. I know this year is a little different with the FAFSA being pushed until December, but we know that you all are very passionate about what you do and that you're doing everything you can to work with your students. So again, thank you so much. We hope you all have a wonderful year and don't hesitate to reach out to us at all. So thank you so much and have a great day.